Obviously, a pretty unique situation with you coaching 2 summers ago, taking last summer away from the Woodchucks, and then being asked to come back is pretty special and unique situation. So I guess just your initial thoughts about coming back to Wassa and what you're excited about and what went into the decision to come back to Wassa here in 2024.
Yeah, no, all good questions there. First of all, man, I love the city of Wausau. I like the organization; they're awesome. But the fans are pretty incredible there. So I'm excited to get back there for them. I'm excited for the team and the organization. But first and foremost, man, I thought I wanted a summer off. I haven't had a summer off since I was like 12 years old. And I was down here in the Florida heat, and I decided that it was probably not the best situation to just have a summer off. So I was kind of bored, and I was watching the Woodchucks on ESPN Plus all summer, and was a little jealous. So I wanted to get back. I know Brock Moss did a good job, and he's a good friend of mine. So I figured I want to get back and help out.
You coached this team in 2021 and 2022. In 2021, you actually set the franchise record for most wins of the season, and you coached them to their first playoff appearance in 8 years. That did the same thing in 2022 with a 38-win season. So I'm just wondering, is the mentality that you had in those two seasons going to be the same one that you have in this season?
Hopefully a little better, right? I don't want to just make the playoffs. I want to continue to go and try to win the championship, right? A rival of ours, Green Bay, won it last year. Sets a sour taste in my mouth a little bit, and I want to, kind of top those guys, which is good for them. It's good for our division. I think I'm a little biased, but I think our division's probably the top in our Northwoods league, and congrats to them. But like I said, I just want to go back and win a championship. That's kind of my goal, and that's why I'm coming back for.
Are you looking to kind of set the statement then opening day because it is against Green Bay that opening
Yeah,
series?
no, absolutely, and that's kind of why I'm kind of gunning for them a little bit. They're on top, which is good. I like the job that Chris does over there. I think he's a great coach, great manager. But they set the precedent in our division. They're the first ones to win it in the last little bit. So that's kind of the guys that we're shooting for.
How do you look to build off of those performances and, like you said, go even further with a team that's obviously going to look a lot different than the guys you had in 21 and 22?
Yeah, we may have some returners from those two teams that I had. Obviously, the coaching staff is kind of similar. But for the most part, I think what we've started to look at is second half roster, kind of building that, making sure guys are there for the long haul, and that they want to be there for the long haul. I think that's the biggest piece in the Northwoods is, yeah, it's a long season. Yeah, it's guys are in and out every now and then. But for us, I want to keep our core group together. And from talking to the guys that we already have on the roster, it looks like we're going to do that up until this point, but you never know. But I think that's the main focus is keeping our core group together, keeping the pitching staff strong, and kind of finishing out the year with our main team.
Yes, like what have you learned after coaching 2 years in the Northwoods that can help you with dealing with the in and out of players and just, yeah, what can you bring this year from the last two?
Yeah, be prepared. I mean, you never know what's going to happen. We've had guys that are there all year that want to stay, and random injury happens, and you lose, one of your best hitters or your best arms or whatever it may be. So in times it can be frustrating, and I get it because those players that are probably our best are probably somebody else's best at their school, right? So you want to take control or you want to take care of those guys. But at the same time, for us, I think just building a second half roster and making sure that the core group is there throughout the year is huge for us. And winning a half, no one talks about that enough. But I think winning the first half would be ideal. But I think winning either half is key to moving on.
You mentioned the coaching staff and that you're a little bit familiar. Talk about just what those guys are going to bring to the team and your experience with some of those coaches that will be joining you.
Yeah, absolutely, man. They're the key for us. They're the key for me as well. Kelton Caldwell will be going on his third year with me. He's been with me ever since I've been a woodchuck, so he's been a woodchuck the same amount of time. He's incredible, man. Shows up to the office ready to work with hitters day in, day out. Knowledge of the game is through the roof. Former BYU player. That's kind of where our Utah guys come from. Our BYU guys come from is through Kelton, and they have been pretty good throughout the years. We have a couple guys on our roster this coming year from BYU that would also be pretty good. So he's been incredible. Nolan Atkinson has been awesome. He's a character, that's for sure. But when it comes down to pitching and figuring out pitching staffs and how to make certain guys better, he's top notch, man. And both of those guys will have a big boy job, big time job coming soon. Just depends on where they want to go with it. The newcomer this year will be Logan Lawrence. He's at University or a JUCO in the Panhandle, Northwest Florida State, powerhouse junior college in Florida, perennial, top 10, top 25 JUCO. So the knowledge that he's going to come with is just based around the talent that he's with. He's a pretty good recruiter himself. So he's already off to a hot start with our roster as well. So that's exciting. And then we just added another one. He's actually our grad assistant here at Kaiser University, where I coach at, Gannon Ruckman. He'll help out, kind of here and there whenever he can. But he's another hard worker that loves to get after it and wants to just be around good talent.
JUCO is not something a lot of people realize has such an effect over baseball in particular. I mean, I would say that JUCO is still an incredibly viable path for people to take if they don't want to play in the NCAA.
Yeah.
Would you say that more coaches should kind of focus their recruiting efforts there?
Yeah, I mean, one of our best players when I was a woodchuck, or since I've been a woodchuck, was Kevin Kilpatrick. Draft pick by the Atlanta Braves and is doing pretty well there. Never went to an NCAA school. Was a JUCO pick out of Central Florida. But yeah, I mean, most of our guys have either played there or they know a buddy there. We have several guys on our roster this coming summer that are from JUCO. It's just like you said, it's a viable option. Whether it was not the perfect timing for an NCAA school or whatever it may be, it's still a good option to have. And a lot of guys go there because you can get drafted after your first or second year at a junior college instead of, waiting 3 years at a 4-year school. So, like you said, it is a better option sometimes.
When you come into the Northwoods League, it's obviously a temporary thing. What do you try and do, or what is your goal with the players and their development? And what do you feel that you will bring to the Woodchucks as far as your coaching philosophy this season?
Yeah, so for me, I'm big on it's kind of old school. Some people call it old school, some people call it whatever it is. I don't really know, but I like to throw strikes and be aggressive on the base pass. So from the pitching side of things, you throw strikes. I don't care if you throw 50 miles an hour or 100 miles an hour. You're going to pitch for me if you throw strikes. Now, if you don't throw strikes, that's why we have Nolan Atkinson. He's gonna figure out how to get those guys to throw strikes. But for me, like I said, throw strikes, play defense, be aggressive on the base pass when it comes to offense, and we'll be all right. I think I'm a little, like I said, old school. I like to steal bases. I like to bunt. I know that's kind of out of the question nowadays. They like, everybody likes the home runs, which I do as well. But I like to play small ball a little bit. I think when it comes down the stretch, you start to watch big league games more and more in playoffs and World Series, stuff like that. The bunts are significant. The stolen bases are significant. So why don't we just do that all year? So that's kind of my philosophy. When it comes to developing players, I think some of these guys are pretty set in stone. They just need more at bats. Ashton Larson is a guy that kind of comes to mind. He's a freshman at LSU. He's on our roster. Gonna get some playing time at LSU, but he's a freshman at a national national championship school. So he's gonna get sparing time. When he comes to us, all he really needs is at bats and love and say, hey, you got this. You're a pretty good player. Just go do your thing. And that's kind of our coaching philosophy as a whole with our staff. And that's why I brought guys back is we let players do their thing. We don't really press much about them. And when they come to us, then we can kind of coach them that way instead of pushing our views, you know, up front with them.
Kind of letting them lead their own development and what they think they need to improve on.
Yeah, 100%. So they'll come in with tasks and goals and whatnot from their own coaching staffs that I'll be in communication with, and then we just kind of let them play. And then once they get in the groove of things and playing every day, like the Northwood schedule is, they'll come to us and say, hey, what do you see that I can improve on? And then that's where we can kind of jump in and kind of coach a little bit. So it's kind of hands off at first. Let's see how they play. Let's see, what their mindset is. And then we'll jump in, accordingly.
So you mentioned that you missed Wausau. So being from Florida, you must like something about it. So what are you looking forward to coming back to Wisconsin and especially Wausau?
Man, I'll tell you this. The weather up there in the summer is beautiful. It's kind of like our springs right now that I'm experiencing down here in South Florida. The summer up there is perfect. It's like 80 degrees, and at night, right at first pitch, it's you can't ask for any better weather. The lakes are nice on our off days. And then on top of that, the food's really good. I'm a big fan of the cheese curds. I've never had cheese curds until I coached up in Wisconsin. So those are top notch for me. I'm looking forward to those.
I got a quote here. It was after the unfortunate exit in the 2021 playoffs. You said that your motto from day one was selflessness. Is that kind of the same motto you have going into your third season now with the Woodchucks?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's something that you guys will see this summer. I'll write it on the top of our lineup card in our dugout. Guys will see that. It's a message that I will continue to have every day that I coach. And it doesn't matter if you're a first round draft pick, if you're an eighth round draft pick, if you're a non-drafted guy or don't even have that potential. We want the best for our team. And that's how I think to answer your other question, this kind of goes hand in hand. That's our development, right? We want guys to play selfless baseball. And once you learn how to become a really good teammate, you play that way. And that's kind of what guys are looking for in pro ball as well. Like you could be top tier talent, but if you're not going to play with the other team or with your team, you kind of get shunned a little bit. So I kind of help guys play team baseball. And for the most part, we've done that. So I'm proud of that, and that's a motto that we're going to keep for a while.
Do you have in your recruiting, like kind of how you recruit, do you have a specific area you look to more often than others?
Being from Florida, we get a lot of Southeast kids, of course. Nolan's out in California, our pitching coach. So our California guys will come from Nolan. The Utah guys will come from Kelton. But like if you look at the roster, there's a lot of Southeast guys. But if you look at the roster that we've had in years past, there is quite a few local kids from Point or wherever up there. And yeah, if you look at those schools or if you look at those guys that have played with us, man, they've done extremely well. And that's an open door that I want to continue to keep open. Whether we're in a pinch and some guy just went down, we need a guy to fill the roster. Guys just came in and stepped up and have done really well. Jace Bowman comes to mind. He's been there both years with me. Pretty good arm. And now he's a professional baseball pitching, local kid from Wausau. So no, I would love to continue to open those doors up there and continue to grow that.
Local players are always the fan favorites.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
They're fun to have.
Every time I started Jace Bowman, man, the crowd was packed. Every time they said his name, the crowd went crazy. more so than like the LSU kid or the, the Vanderbilt kids or whatever it is. It's awesome to see those local kids kind of get their shine a little bit and then perform on top of that. Because some of those kids have kind of looked down on before and underestimated. So it's awesome to see them do well up there. No, I'm looking forward to come back, man. We've put together a pretty good roster so far. Need to fill a couple more spots. We're kind of holding out for the spring, but I'm excited. I know our assistant coaches are extremely excited. I've gotten texts from countless fans and people up in Wausau excited that our whole coaching staff is coming back. So it seems like the city's welcoming us back, and I know I'm ready to come back. So I can't wait and excited to get going.
For the coach that led the Woodchucks to their best record in franchise history, I'd say that the fans have something to be excited about. So
Sure.
can't wait to have you up here. And thanks again for chatting with us.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Thank you,
we
guys.
really appreciate you.